Yay!
Live.
After a few technical difficulties, here we are. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this conversation that I'm going to have about what changed after a conversation with Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness. So I'm Viv Adcock, your host for this evening, and I'm welcoming a very dear friend of mine and fellow certified CFMW, certified fucking miracle worker, and a few other things. Selwyn Jones, welcome.
Hi, Viv. Thanks for having me. And yeah, great topic to be involved with for sure.
Yeah, well, I remember being in a class many years ago with you, Saul, and you walking up to the microphone, which, you know, when you're in a live class with Gary, it doesn't sound that big a deal when you talk about it. But when you've got stuff up in your world and for me, it's like I feel my stomach rumbling and I start getting sweaty palms and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm just walking up to the microphone to have a conversation with somebody, but that somebody is just not somebody. So what experience have you had at the microphone with him or in conversation with him, Saul?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first class that I actually did with him live. I was standing at the back of the room and he just pointed at me and he said, you've got a question. And so I walked up to the mic and asked a bunch of questions. But, you know, that kind of sums Gary Douglas up. I think, you know, he's very different. He's very weird and he's very willing to follow the energy. And yeah, there was a really great introduction to that for me.
So do you remember, do you recall what happened? Did you actually have a question or was it kind of was percolating or what was he aware of?
I mean, I think, you know, I'd been introduced to, you know, some of the basic tools and I was probably pulling some energy standing at the back of the room. And I think, you know, he's one of those people that are just very, very willing to kind of communicate on that level. And I feel like that's been something that's always been I've always been a sort of an energetic communicator, I guess, but that was a real validation for me of, wow, this is actually real and other people get it. And you can actually function like this, which was no one else had really been that before in my life in that way.
Yeah, and what an invitation and an acknowledgement, because I think for a lot of people that do communicate, and I'm just gonna ask you to go into that, you know, in that way. It's like we can, when we communicate energetically, it's like for us it is our first language that we forget somewhere, or it doesn't get forgotten, it gets kind of overtaken by whatever language yours is, you know, verbal language, English, Spanish, French, whatever. But when you just tapped onto that energy of, you know, he just reached into your world energetically and you at the back of the room, you've got a question. I just wonder if you can open that up a bit more for people, that this might be a brand new concept to them. Maybe not brand new, but maybe they haven't fully acknowledged that yet.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I know that you also work with animals, and I mean, from my perspective, you know, the plants, the animals, they're all communicating, and the way that we can receive it, I guess, is energetically most of the time. And so I think that's available, and I think science is catching up more and more, you know, saying that this is true, you know, that plants communicate with each other, and you know, that animals have this way of communicating. And I think that we have that way of communicating as people as well, but we probably just don't use it because we have also the way of communicating verbally seems to be the dominant way. But I think if you look in your life, you know, you'll have these sort of moments that you might remember where, you know, things have shown up in a different way, and that might have had something to do with, you know, energy or a different way of communicating. Yeah,
it's very possible that it could have been that way. And so I think another way to kind of tap into this, if you're new to Access or you're wondering who Gary Douglas is, you know, I think one of the words that's used very regularly, more so these days, is telepathy, you know, having telepathic communication. And regardless of whatever name you give it, it is this kind of non-verbal, energetic conversation that, like you say, Saul, the plants, the animals, babies, you know, so many people function, non-speaking autistic people, you know, they have this way of reaching a level of intimacy, I guess, where there isn't the need for all the noise that comes out of this round thing on the front of our face. So do you remember any particular conversation that you had with Gary that was, you walked away from the microphone and just, I don't know if you can talk about what it's like after you've had the conversation. Sorry, let me back up. When you're at the microphone having a conversation with him, and then how it is when you walk away?
Yeah, like it is very hard to describe because, like, as you said, I mean, for me, usually if I walk up to the microphone, I feel like I'm just like a vibrating mess or something, you know, like everything in my body is just like humming kind of thing. But and often you walk up and it's not so much about like what you're asking, but it's like you present again like an energy, and then, you know, Gary is like a master of shifting and changing and moving energy. So you come away from that interaction different, and sometimes you don't really know what happened. But and it's not so much about the words, like sometimes that also helps, but I think, you know, a lot of the change from a class with Gary is yeah, you get, you know, the bitch slap of consciousness, and you don't know what quite happened, but you come away different, which I kind of love that about it. You know, but I think just in general, like he's so brilliant at, you know, being like being a question and asking questions. And I think so many people come to him with, you know, they want an answer, they want to get something like right and sorted in their life, and he just continually like bees a question for people, which I think that in itself really starts to change things. And, you know, if you start to embrace a little bit of that in your life,
Yeah.
you'll already start to see massive differences.
Yeah, and beautifully expressed, Saul, because it is really, you can't put into words. From my experience, you could be on a telecall, or you could be, you know, sitting in a live class with him. You could be somewhere on the opposite side of the world watching a class via a live stream on a computer somewhere, and yet energy knows no bounds. You know, it doesn't matter if you're there right in front of him or you're on the other side of the world and you speak a totally different language. That sense for me of the rumblings of change, you know, when you kind of, you've got that excitement in your belly and kind of like butterflies. This is how it is for me. And I might not be able to formulate a question to get up to the microphone, and he still manages to somehow pull whatever that question is, whatever the thing is that's in my world that I might have, you know, bits and pieces of, but it hasn't quite revealed itself. He will just start talking about something in what seems a really random way that then continues to open up the space in the room for maybe somebody else ask the question that you were trying to ask. And that's really blown me away a number of times as well.
Yeah, that's so cool when, you know, everyone in the room is receiving from, you know, a facilitation that someone is getting, because, you know, in some way we're all connected and we often have so many similar things going on. And so like someone else getting free can often be such a contribution, like in your own life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, you know, there is no separation. So you could be on one side of the world with something going on in your world, and then, like I say, Gary will start talking about something that just, it's like he's constantly popping open spaces, and just that, like you said earlier, being the question, that curiosity that he's always looking for. How else do I create more consciousness on the planet? How else do I invite more people to consciousness? And having that self-empowerment to know that, you know, it's like, you know, something's not flowing or something's not working in your life that you, in the way that you know it could, but you might not even know how to put that in words either. So it's like he is this absolute maestro, like you said, a master of perceiving what is up in the room, perceiving what's up in your world. And not only does he do that, he also nips around and opens a zillion doors for you in your life as well that you didn't even know were available. So I remember, I'm going to bring up another class when you and I were in a class together, and he was, I don't remember what the leading question was, but it was something about, were we talking about X-Men? And he invited you to attend a class in America with him. Was that right? Was it X-Men?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was. So, well, for people that may not know, X-Men is a class about, I guess, people that think differently, and sometimes they've been diagnosed with ADD or OCD, autism, that type of thing. But it was something that I was really passionate about because I'd been using the tools a lot, and it had created a lot of change in my life, and I just wanted to know more. And I asked in that class just for a contribution to be able to go to that class, and it was a lot of people like contributed energetically to that being possible. And then also Gary invited me to come to the class, which was amazing. And a lot of people supported me on that journey, which I think was really, when you look back, one of those times in your life where just things really change. So super grateful for him for that, and everyone.
Yeah. And even everything, for those of you watching this now or in the future, if you can just close your eyes and listen to how Saul is communicating this, because yes, he's using words, but often you'll get this sense of this other conversation going on through your molecules. It's like there's this other energetic shifting and changing and dancing with the energies that, as you talk, Saul, but also Gary very much as well. And it is completely indescribable. It is unfathomable from a linear, logical, trying to understand perspective. And yet on an energetic level, it's like, it just feels like home, it feels normal. It's just, there's a sense of relaxation and space when you're with people that have that, willingness to be so different, and the willingness to show up as them without needing to try and be like anybody else or fit in or make it look a certain way because you don't want to look too weird. Yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to add, Saul, or talk about?
Well, I just wanted to say, I guess, as well, that, sometimes he's also really annoying, and he'll just say choice if you have a conversation with him. I think as well, I don't know, I look back at my life and I look at how sort of stifling I used to be with choice, like every choice was just so difficult to make because it could be bad or it could be this. But I think, like, he would just reinforce that everything's just a choice and you can always choose again. And I just think that's such a great thing to have in your life. And it's like, it makes your life so much easier and so much better and so much more of an adventure, so many things to be grateful for, to him for, and the tools that he's provided us with to enjoy a greater life.
And I just wanted to add this too, to jump on a telecall with Gary. I think a lot of his classes now, the prerequisite is bars and foundation, which for me, it's just a small drop in the ocean for what you can receive in regards to just creating the most phenomenal beyond this reality life where you're happy. The noise and everything else externally in the outside world doesn't rob you of your being anymore. It doesn't erode your sense of adventure with life and living. So, whether you choose to jump on a telecall with him or attend a class live, or even just listen to some, material that he's done, there's so much stuff on YouTube that's free that, again, I don't know why I'm saying this, but it's just be willing to just close your eyes and listen and sense. Tap into your unique way of perceiving energy and sensing the energy that is accompanied by the words. So, yeah. We've had a couple of people make some comments. So thank you, Josephine, for your comments that you've been adding. And Philomena, hello. Yeah, so anything else you want to say to our wonderful audience before we leave, Saul?
Oh, I mean, I guess just, you know, if there was ever a magical man, it is Major Gary Douglas. And yeah, check him out. Attend a telecall, go to a class, do whatever you can to get there, because yeah, he contributes to everyone. And probably at the worst case scenario, your life will change. So yeah, you can't lose, really.
Yeah, exactly. And he has got lots of telecalls. You can talk to Gary Douglas about absolutely anything. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is off.
Hard time trying to surprise that guy, I reckon.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So yes, thank you so much, Saul. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, and I look forward to being with you somewhere on this amazing planet in person one day soon.
Thank you, Viv, and thanks for what you're creating. You're doing an amazing thing. And yeah, hi everyone out there, and bye everyone out there.
Who is Gary Douglas? And I'm just going to put a quick banner up at the bottom. This is Gary's website too. So if you're wondering who we're talking about, who this man is, who this absolute enigma, this out of control, amazing gentleman that has so much capacity and capability and just desires all of us to have access to our unique capacities and capabilities. So check out GaryDouglas.com and accessconsciousness.com if you're new to Access. And thanks again, everybody, for watching us. And we will be back with more conversations about Gary Douglas. Thanks, Saul.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.